I am reading Prelude to the Landing on Planet Earth. I'm now still in chapter 4, entitled EXITS. This is, what it is about is the landing, foreseen landing of extraterrestrials on Earth. This was published in 1977 by STUART HOLROYD, and they have pretty much chosen the 3 who are meant to go, although Bobby was the preferred choice, but Bobby decided, he is a healer, that he does not want the responsibility which this journey entails. They have met Acigioli, Roberto Acigioli in Italy. He is a man in his 80s who is also into very much this subject. And I finished here saying that Phyllis hadn't heard the tape of the conversation with Acigioli, and John hadn't told her about it, nor had Phyllis read any Alice Bailey books or other esoteric works which speak of such concepts too. So John found security in the correspondences between the various sources of cosmic information. John had ascertained in an earlier communication that Roberto was known to the management, and at the conclusion of the 10th August session, Tom said that they should immediately afterwards hold a distant healing meditation in order to send him strength. On the 12th of August, John asked, "Can you tell us anything about Acigioli's condition at this moment?" Tom replied, "He had a moment of severe weakness yesterday, and we tried to generate energy. There is an improvement. Do not forget your hearing this evening." Is that hearing or the heating? The next day, there was a phone call from Diana, who said that Roberto had become much weaker in the last few days, and she feared that he was going to die. John gently reproached her for adopting a negative attitude and said he was sure Roberto would be healed, and that he would consult the others and see if they could make the trip to Italy earlier. As it happened, Bobby was due to come to Ossining that same day, the 13th of August, and soon after his arrival in the afternoon they assembled to hold a communication with Phyllis as channel. Tom began by welcoming Bobby. "We come in peace and love, and we are grateful that our brother is here. We were all with you through your trial, and we surrounded you with love. We had faith in you, and we know at times that you doubted, and we sympathized with this. There will be times in the future when you will doubt, but remember always that our love is with you, and we will try to give you peace and surround you with harmony. Because of you and these 3 beings, we know that our project will be completed. We are grateful for your commitment." Invited to ask questions to start the discussion, Andrija formulated a complex and searching one. "Since this is the first time that John, Bobby, and I have met with you together, it might help us all if you could tell us something which has been a great puzzle, in my mind certainly, and which might give us all a common starting point. We have accepted your existence on faith, as you know, and what we would like to know is something of your natural history. We would like to know what you look like, how you reproduce, what you do for nourishment, what your role is in the universe, how you relate to the 9, what your interest is in the earth, etc., etc. It would help us immensely if you could give us some idea of who you are in a descriptive sense." This bold and challenging formulation initiated one of the most informative communications they had held to date. Tom began his explanation with a clear answer to the main point. of Andrija's question. We don't have a physical body, although we may put on a mantle of a physical body when it is necessary. It would be difficult to explain to you what we appear like. We appear in many forms. We may appear as a very bright light. We have evolved beyond the point of needing a physical type body. Andrija recalled that a week or two ago, 2 members of the household had entered the house at 8:30 p.m. and had both seen what they believed was a lightning ball in the living room. "Is that one of your appearances?" he asked. "We wear here," Tom said. "At times we use your electrical impulses and your lightning in order to come into your atmosphere and to generate." "I see," Andrija said. "So you could manifest now, assuming that you had certain physical energies to draw upon, for instance, as you suggested, the plasma from lightning, or perhaps water vapor, or even the energy we could give? You could mold this energy into something that would manifest in our world. Is that the idea?" "It would be similar to this," Tom said, "but our technology you would not understand. For instance, in the manifestation that took place in this being's office, we have a unit that was placed over the office, and through this we were able to manifest a being that appeared in a physical body to her." This clearly referred to an incident Phyllis had spoken about and which had occurred some years before. It was such an extraordinary incident, and so curiously linked to the events of this narrative, that I must digress briefly to report Phyllis's account of it. She had been in the office of her school in Orlando one afternoon waiting for a client who had an appointment for a reading at 3 o'clock. At 10 minutes to 3, she went out into the reception area to find out from her secretary who the expectant client was, and learned that it was a woman named Mary, who was a regular and who had always been reliable and punctual with her appointments. Seated in the reception area was a stranger, a dark man wearing a dark suit who stood about 5 feet 6 inches in height. He looked Italian or Jewish, Phyllis said, except that he had almond-shaped eyes. The stranger said to her, "I want to see you at 3. Phyllis explained that he couldn't, because she had a client at that time, and he said, "She won't be here." Phyllis returned to her office and waited. Mary hadn't arrived by 3:10, which was unlike her. Thinking about the stranger, Phyllis wondered how he had known that the client was a woman. She went back to the reception area, where he was still sitting, and asked him how he had known this, and also that she wouldn't come. He answered, "Her car stalled at the parkway." Intrigued, Phyllis invited him into her office and asked him what he wanted. "I want you to give me a reading," he said. She touched his hand, and in an instant she knew that he wasn't from Earth. She told him her impression. He said, "That's right. Give me a reading anyway." Phyllis said, "This isn't why you came, is it? Why did you?" He said, "You've been asking for signs since 1953. Phyllis thought she could test him and said, "If you are who you say you are, then bring in one of your people." She had scarcely spoken the words when the being materialized before her eyes. He was about 6 feet 4 inches high, well built, with blonde hair and blue eyes, and was wearing a silver-blue jumpsuit. He didn't speak, but communicated to her telepathically that his name was Ultima, that he and others were coming to help the planet, and that in future she would be able to call on him in any emergency. He remained in the office for less than 5 minutes, then dematerialized. The dark man left, and Phyllis watched from her window as he got into a white Cadillac with Miami number plates and drove away. One Friday afternoon, about 2 months later, just as Phyllis was about to leave the office to go home, he suddenly reappeared, put his head around the door and said, "Hi, Phyllis. Everything okay? Just checking on you." As a preposterous tale, this ranks equal to to the one Andrija and Yuri tell about Yuri being teleported from New York to Ossining, but to this day Phyllis remembers the incident vividly and swears this is precisely what happened. To return to the communication, Andrija asked about Ultima, and Tom said that it was the name of the unit working in cooperation with them on their present project. Andrija now asked about UFOs and whether they were also created manifestations. Tom answered, "Many of these flying things that you call UFOs come from our place, but they come from other places also, and they do come in physical form, but many of them are not physical. They are like your movie screen." When they had been staying at Mill Hill in London at the time of the May lectures, Andrija and several other people had seen a number of aerial objects. They had counted 43 in all, and Andrija had taken some photographs. On the photographs, he now said, there was a strange, spirally vaporous kind of figure that was quite large. Now, what would that be? That would be one of us, Tom said. We are energy. Would it have been a form taken for the occasion, Andrija asked, or what they really looked like as their natural selves? It is difficult to explain to you, Doctor, that we do not really have a natural self, Tom said. We are what we think we are at that time. We exist in the zone that you call cold. Because of this, we have no problem in manifesting in any manner we desire. Yes, Andrija said, on Earth we are just beginning to understand, very feebly, the zone of cold or superconductivity. And we know that there is no resistance there, no friction. In other words, that's the area of perpetual motion. Is that not essentially true? It is true, and this is perfection, Tom said. So from all this, Andrija went on, we gather that you are pure light beings, in a sense that we don't even understand, because you exist at a velocity beyond light, beyond photons, beyond tachyons. And secondly, I would assume that you are more of the nature of what we would call soul than any other thing we can imagine. We are soul. Are the 9 of the same nature as you are? We are one and the same. Can you explain the profound mystery of why there are 9 manifestations of, I guess we have to use the word God for lack of a better one? I will consult with the council to see if we may relate this, Tom said. Will you bide with us? After a pause he went on, 9 is complete. Everything is 9. In your world you have said 7 many times when everything is truly 9. There are 9 chakras, which are the 9 principles and the elements of God. There are 9 bands around this planet Earth. There are 9 etheric bodies, and going through your transitions is to attain the 9 bodies. 9 is a complete number. It is whole. This becomes 1. Over 9 it cancels, and 9 is complete. Andrija mentioned his communications with a 9 of many years ago through Dr. Vinod, and asked if this material was still valid. It does not change, Tom says, but remember this, we are not God. All of you and all of us make God. Many of your physical beings deify other physical beings when it is truly them. I think that's the best way I've ever heard it put, Andrija said. Then he changed the subject and asked Tom why he and his like were concerned about the insignificant speck of dust in the universe called the planet Earth. We have explained this to you before, Tom said. Sometimes you seem to understand and then you ask the same questions again. There was a suggestion of exasperation in the voice. Andrija explained, however, that it was asking the question for Bobby's benefit, and Tom said contritely, "We are sorry," and proceeded to outline the scenario that had been given to Phyllis on her intergalactic trip a few days before, and that had been confirmed in 2 subsequent communications. which have been omitted from this narrative because their essential content is most concisely summarized in the following explanation that Tom gave for Bobby's benefit. In order for the universe to evolve, it is important for this planet to evolve. The souls that have been coming to this planet have become irresponsible in their physical bodies. The density of this planet is so heavy and thick and we know not the word to explain to you what this planet does to the soul. This planet is a planet of desire. The souls are here, act as if they are in quicksand and are being gobbled up and swallowed in this desire. It is important for this planet to evolve, or other planets in the universe that are under this planet or surrounding this planet are not able to go forward. It has stopped the growth of the universe. It has contaminated and polluted the universe. It is important for the level of consciousness of this planet to be raised. It is the love from this planet that generates the energy that becomes God. Many souls, when they die, are trapped in the atmosphere and are evolved over and over on this planet and seem to be going nowhere. This planet was originally created to teach a being balance between the spiritual and the physical world. But in this physical world, they got involved in a material world. And so these beings never evolved beyond the belt of this planet. Their desires hold them to this planet. And so you have a multiplication that is going on until this planet will sink. They can't get beyond it because of desire, because of hate, because of greed, because of enjoying their physical pleasures. We have no objections to the physical, you understand, but it is when this becomes their primary concern, and they are not concerned with the evolving of the planet, and with their fellow man, and with trying to find the true God. You explained this, Doctor, when we listened to your conversation the other day, and you called it a bottleneck. We consulted and decided that if we looked in a bottle and there was a plug and we couldn't get it out, this is exactly what this planet is. Your description was correct. Could you explain once more, Andrija said, though I think I understand, how a few humble beings like us, who are very simple beings, can really help to unplug this bottleneck? Tom answered, the energy that surrounds you and which comes from us because you are our channels creates a vortex that then radiates out and then can raise the consciousness of this planet. Even though you feel it is an impossible task, it is not so. You chose this situation. You willingly gave of yourself to come back to this dense, heavy earth. You have reincarnated on this planet several times, not because it was necessary, but because you needed to understand and to get the feel of this planet in order to raise its level of consciousness. This energy, as I explained, creates a vortex of love and peace and harmony. Everything needs an energy base. We are energy, and we need you to channel our energy. This detailed explanation had been chiefly for Bobby's benefit, and Tom now concluded the session by addressing Bobby directly on the subject of his role. Asking him first whether he was aware that he had chosen this existence, Bobby said that he was, and Tom continued. And we know that you must ask within yourself at times why. First, we will explain about Yuri. Yuri also chose to come to this planet, and we worked with him, and we thought that in Yuri being able to manifest in a scientific world, this perhaps would be the way to get the people on your physical planet to understand the existence of other beings and intelligences. Not just us, for remember, there are those who are much superior to you in other civilizations, but also we realize that the area to reach more physical beings would be in the area of health. Bobby chose this role, and he has come here 5 times before to help raise the consciousness of this planet, but he was not able to complete the work. Perhaps it was both our error and your error, because your world was not ready. Although there was a time 2,000 years ago when it was, and so we are here again. And through your communication systems, we will be able to reach the masses. The time has come for the people of the earth to demand from their governments, to demand from their religious leader, to demand from their teachers knowledge and understanding of what is truly happening. It is now the time of the people. Whereas before, your religions and your governments and your society kept your masses in ignorance and kept mankind tied down. It is now coming to the time when man is demanding answers. It is now the time for us to come through on communication. As Yuri comes through on television and opens up and makes people aware that there are others besides him who can do these things, particularly the children, this will cause those in your world to demand answers from their scientific community. By the way, to reach men, we have finally decided it is through their own physical bodies and healing. And through Bobby, many people will be healed and many will be open to healing. Are you aware of this, Bobby? Yes, Bobby said. And are you with us? Yes, he repeated. A month before, Tom had said, apropos Bobby, things will be resolved and all your systems in motion by the middle of August. It seemed now that the prediction had been precisely fulfilled, and the group were joyful in their newfound cohesion and clearer sense of purpose. But though they didn't know it, events were coming that were to give them cause to doubt. On the 16th of August, John flew to London and Phyllis and Bobby to Florida. But before separating, they made arrangements to meet the following week in Rome and drive to Capalona and carry out a proposed series of healing sessions on Asajuri. Daily throughout the week, they were together at Unsinning. They had held the distant healing meditations, and on the 4th of August, Diana had telephoned and said that Roberto was better. This was confirmed the following day by Tom, who said, Asajuri's improvement continues. Only loss of hope in him would cause a problem. He has not lost hope. He will be well. So it was arranged that Phyllis and Bobby should join Andrija at Kennedy Airport in the evening of the 21st of August to catch a night flight to Rome, where they would meet John the following morning. Despite John's admonitions about negative thinking, Diana still feared that Roberto was dying, and that nothing now could save him. She spent most of each day at his bedside in the Villa Ilario, comforting him as best as she could, giving him drinks and cooling his brow. He had developed a high fever, which had progressed to pneumonia. Two young medical doctors who were students of his came to Capalona to see if they could help. He refused antibiotics, however, and appeared to be declining fast. On the 19th of August, Diana says, he became an archetypal old man overnight, and I believe it was then that his soul left. He became his personality. Roberto wasn't afraid of death. He knew it was a transition and not an end, but his personality wanted to cling on to life, and though he could hardly speak now, he kept murmuring to me, the Americans, and I kept promising him that the American that was the time of sending at noon on the 21st of August, just a few hours before he was due to leave for the airport. The phone rang. We had a message. We will stand by for it to be recorded. The voice was Bobby's, but it was not his normal voice. It was more like his trance voice, but exaggeratedly mechanical and halting. And Alexa quickly attached his recording apparatus to the phone and then listened to the to Switzerland